After being compared to the closest thing to Tiger Woods, Jason Day was set to take the reins and dominate the new era of golf. But things haven't been plain sailing for Day. With no win in 3 years, his career came to a crippling halt. Jason's story is truly inspiring. So let's start from the very beginning. Born in 1987 in Beaudesert, Queensland, to father Alvin and mother Dening, Jason Day didn't have the easiest of childhoods. He grew up on a farm raising cattle and shearing sheep, so the family were very poor. He and his family would go down to the local rubbish tip, searching for furniture and anything else they could use around the house. It was there one day, aged 3, Jason's father found a golf club and gave him a ball to hit. It was a tennis ball at the time, and a cut down 3-wood. His father turned to his mum and said, "This boy's going to be a champion one day." Jason loved the game, but was forced into it a little bit by his father. His father would take him down to the golf course every afternoon, the Beaudesert Country Club, or as Jason liked to think of it, as just a country, because he was kind of forced to spend every bit of his time there, from when he finished school till it got dark. Jason was clearly a natural, and was winning everything possible at a junior level, but it wasn't until he started playing in bigger competitions that he got addicted to the process of getting better. But it was here that Day's dad Alvin started to show his true colours. His drinking and smoking had got really out of hand and he began taking it out on little Jason. After shooting a bad round at a competition, Alvin grabbed his son in the car park and said, "You're gonna get it." A few miles down the road, his dad pulled over and began leashing blows with closed fists on Jason. He was 11 years old. JD was so scared of his dad and the punishments he gave out, but that's what made him play so well. But that pain would soon diminish. His father Alvin got stomach cancer and died. It hit the family extremely hard. There was no longer anyone telling them what they can and can't do. Jason started drinking and getting into fights, and his sister ran away for 4 years without anyone knowing where she was. Day's mum could see her son turning into his dad, and was wasting all of his talent, but Jason didn't care. It was here Jason's mum decided to take things into her own hands. She knew her son had a gift. When her husband died, she was left with a little bit of money. Not a lot, but enough to put Jason into a good school. She approached her 2 daughters and asked them to forego their college in order for their brother to go to Coralbin International School. The reason she chose this boarding school was because it had a golf team. And just like that, the fire was reignited. Day said the passing of his father was the best thing that ever happened to him. But with one man leaving his life, another one entered. In came Cole Swatton. Cole was a coach at the academy and soon took a shine to Jason. He saw a vulnerable kid with bags of talent who was hungrier than anyone. He didn't want to let his mother down or his sisters, so the grind began. Day borrowed a book from his roommate about Tiger Woods. It inspired him to improve his golf by practicing in the morning, lunchtime and evening. He used Tiger's notes as a benchmark for improvement. JD was up every morning at 5 AM and was the last one to leave the night range. He was working harder than anyone at the academy, and Jason took real pride in that. He knew he could outwork everybody and that they had no chance. He'd walk onto the practice putting green and he'd hear people say, "Jason's here, who's playing for second?" All his hard work was paying off, and Jason finally got his first big win at the 2000 Australian Masters at age 13. He then went on to win the Australian Junior Order of Merit and won the Australian Boys Amateur in 2004. His success continued across the pond, winning the boys 15-17 Callaway World Junior Championship, and was a runner-up of the Porter Cup, which included past champions such as Phil Mickelson. There was no slowing down for JD, and in 2006, Day won again, receiving a green jacket for his win at the NEC Masters of Amateurs. That big win gathered a lot of attention from all the sport's big players, but it was TaylorMade and Adidas who won Jason's signature. With his new sponsorship and incredible amateur background, Jason turned pro and began playing on the PGA Tour immediately. He got off to a fast start, making the cut in 5 out of 6 starts with a best finish of 11, racking up over $160,000. After his sponsorship exemptions ran out, he entered the PGA Tour Q School looking for his card. He made it to the finals but played poorly in the last round, finishing 15 shots by the eventual winner. This was a different feeling for JD. He'd never had the feeling of being unsuccessful. He found it easy in the amateur ranks, winning everything. But now he was playing against the best in the world. He could either accept his position and bow down to the pressure, or he could work twice as hard and continue on his journey to becoming the #1 player in the world. After failing to get his PGA Tour card, Jason signed childhood coach and father figure Cole Swatton to become his caddy. They started their journey on the Nationwide Tour, and it didn't take long before he was back on the winning ways. He became the youngest man to win any PGA Tour event, winning the 2007 Legend Financial Group Classic. He finished the year 5th on the money list, proving once again his first shot at the PGA Tour was a small blemish in his career. His first couple of seasons were mediocre at best, mainly focusing on finding his feet and securing his card for the coming season. He married his wife Ellie in 2009 and really seemed to have his feet firmly planted. JD kicked it up a gear. In May 2010, he became the youngest Australian to win a PGA Tour event, winning the HP Byron Nelson Championship. That win gave him entry into the major scene. First off, the Open, after Greg Norman withdrew. He made the cut and finished a respectable 60th. He then topped that finish with a top 10 7 under par at the PGA Championship. Entering the FedEx Cup playoffs, Day was on the top form. He bagged 2 top 5 finishes at the first 2 events and qualified for the season-ending Tour Championship. A respectable tied 17th would see him finish ranked 21st on the PGA Tour money list. 2011 was a great year for Jason. He managed 12 top 25s and 10 top 10s, even managing a tied second at his first ever Masters, 2 shots behind Charles Schwartzel. JD then participated in his first US Open, again coming second, 8 strokes behind runaway leader Rory McIlroy. After back-to-back second place maiden majors, Jason Day's season was solid. Even though he didn't manage a win, he did move inside the top 10 world golf rankings. 2012 through 2013, JD still didn't manage a win. He was still placing well, picking up 11 top 10s over the course of 2 years. He even contended once again at the 2013 Masters with a promising 3rd, 2 shots back from Angel Cabrera. Even though things weren't quite clicking with JD, he felt as confident as ever and was determined to get his foot over the line. He was back in contention at the US Open that year at the Merion Golf Club, but once again came up short, tied second with Phil Mickelson. This was Day's second time being a runner-up at the US Open, and he was still looking for his first major win. But Day didn't panic. He knew he was doing everything right. He felt good, and it was only a matter of time. That's before Day finally secured the victory and lifted JD to 4th in the world rankings. He finished the season solid with 6 top 10s including 2 runner-ups. All the years of practice, the hurt, the pressure, the responsibility was all starting to take shape. He was number 4 in the world. He'd been so close to majors, and he'd made a ton of money. For most people, this would have been enough, but not for Jason. He wasn't even close to where he wanted to be. He started the season fast. In February, Jason won the Farmers Insurance Open after prevailing in a 4-way playoff over Harris English, JB Holmes and Scott Stallings. He won with a par after Holmes made bogey and English and Stallings were eliminated after the first hole. Day was in grind mode, and next up, the US Open. Day got off to a good start in round 1, but during the second round at the 18th hole, out of nowhere Jason collapsed. Everyone around originally thought that he had slipped. He was very slow getting back up and was shaking and wobbly. The medics got him to his feet, and Day only had one thing in mind. Being 2 shots back at the US Open, he was finishing the hole. It was later revealed that Jason had been suffering from vertigo, a diagnosis received by a doctor a month prior. JD ended the day tied for the lead, but a miraculous recovery would end there as Jace finished the competition 9th. But Jason was feeling better again now, and the journey for a major continued. He entered the last round of the Open at St Andrews as the co-leader. He had a putt for birdie on the 72nd hole to force him into a playoff, but he left it inches short. It was still an improvement, but still agonisingly close to his dreams being made. This was Day's 6th time finishing the top 5 of a major without winning one. Things were clearly starting to click into place for Jason. He just needed it all to click at the right time. That time came the following week at the RBC Canadian Open in Oakville, Canada. Day outlasted Bubba Watson and hometown favourite David Hearn to win the tournament. His second tour victory of the season and 4th overall. He made birdies on the last 3 holes in the final round to take a 1-stroke victory. Jason was pushing his body to the limit. Brutal workout regimes, long hours on the range, just like he was a kid again. It was all paying off and nothing was going to get in his way of reaching his goals. The 2015 PGA Championship was the final major championship of the 2015 season, hosted at the historic Whistling Straits. Day got off to a great start and was in great position after rounds 1 and 2. On moving day, Jason built a 2-stroke lead after 54 holes. This meant he'd carried at least a share of the lead into the final round for the 3rd consecutive major championship, the first since Phil Mickelson in 2006 to do so. With the informed Jordan Spieth chasing him down, searching for his 3rd major win of the season, he had no room for errors. Day produced an exceptional performance, shooting a round of 67, beating Jordan Spieth by 3 shots. Spieth, however, did dethrone Rory McIlroy to become the #1 ranked player in the world. But Jason Day also set a new record that week, becoming the first player in history to finish 20 under par in a major. It was an emotional time for Day. The dreams he'd set himself as a 12-year-old boy had all come true. But Jason wasn't finished there. His hot streak continued with wins at the Barclays and BMW Championship, 2 of the first 3 events in the FedEx Cup playoffs. After his win at the BMW, JD gained the world #1 spot for the first time, something he had dreamed of his whole life. Heading into the Tour Championship, Jason was the FedEx Cup leader. Spieth would take the victory and regain the world #1 spot. This was Jason's standout year to date, with 11 top 10s, 5 wins and a major. He racked up an impressive $9.4 million. But it wasn't all good news that year. Whilst watching LeBron with courtside seats, his wife Ellie was taken out by James, knocked out cold and taken away in a stretcher. Thankfully, she was okay. 2016 was a similar story, and people calling his run of form Tiger-esque. After a blip at the Farmers missing the cut, Day claimed his first win of the season and 8th overall on the PGA Tour at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, beating Kevin Chappell by 1 shot. He birdied the 17th hole during the final round and had to get up and down from the bunker on the 72nd hole to hold on for the win. Day rose 1 place in the world rankings to world #2, overtaking Rory McIlroy. The good form continued. Just 1 week later, he was in the winning circle again. He beat Louis Oosthuizen 5-4 at the WGC Dell Match Play, and claiming his spot back at #1 in the world rankings. He followed these victories up with a 4-stroke wire-to-wire win at the 2016 Players Championship. He was being hailed by all his peers as the new dominant force in golf. Jason finished the year with 10 top 10s, 1 runner-up and 3 wins, which equated to a staggering $8 million in prize money. In late June, Day announced that he would not be playing in the 2006 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, citing concerns over the Zika virus, which was understandable considering he had 2 young children. 2017 was a slow year. He managed 5 top 10s and $3 million in the bank. A staggering number, but measly compared to the past 2 seasons. Fortunately for Jason, and being #1 in the world, you don't need to win tournaments to make bags of cash. It was announced that he would be wearing night clothes, shoes and gloves for an impressive $10 million a year contract. After a winless season, Day split from caddy of 11 years Colin Swatton. There was no altercation between the pair, and he still remains Jason's swing coach to this date. With all these changes off the golf course, which was pretty risky considering they got him to #1, Jason had a pretty solid year, with 15 top 25s and 5 top 10s, and getting back to winning ways, winning twice including the Farmers Insurance for the 2nd time, beating Alex Noren on Monday in a playoff and Wells Fargo in May. But that win would be his last. After that win, things really took a turn for the worst. With his roommate from high school, Luke Reardon, now on the bag, Day only managed half a dozen top 10s. He'd struggled with chronic back pain his whole life, something he may have inherited from Tiger Woods' training regime. But he'd always got treatment or took some painkillers just to keep him going. But Jason wasn't recovering like he was in his 20s, and the back was becoming a major problem. He was trying everything in his power to fix the problem. He even mentioned shortening his backswing and working with Chris Como to build a swing that does not hurt his back, thinking that was the problem. Brandel Chambly from the Golf Channel said this was the worst thing Day could do, saying if you have a short swing, you have a short career, especially with Jason's violent transition. He was even doing balloon therapy, which takes 20 to 30 minutes twice a day, which is supposed to align your rib cage, hips and shoulders, thereby alleviating the pressure on his back. Day insists the back cannot get any worse, that there is nothing structurally off. In a perfect world, Day would take a few weeks off and get back sorted, but his poor players denied him that luxury. Day said, "In the middle of the season, you don't have time to kind of get ready. I'm not 21 anymore, so it doesn't recover like it used to. I'm really high on the FedEx Cup standings, so I've got to try something to get myself into the playoffs. And I've definitely got to try and get myself in the world top 50, so I can get back into majors. It's a pretty critical time for me. It's just to have an injury like this, or not even an injury, but have a stiff back knowing that I have got to go out and play. So I just have to suck it up and just do it." Just as Jason was finding his form and having no pain in his back, he was playing in the Masters Par 3 event when he picked his little girl up and twang went his back again. The thing that hurt the most is that morning whilst being interviewed, he said he hadn't had back pain for months. "It's like I never had it. This set Day back once again." Jason really could have had the reign at number 1 like Tiger. He had the short game, he had the accuracy off the tee, he was just let down by his body. Jason achieved everything he set out to in golf. He said he's not bothered about reaching number 1 again, but he wants to win more. Nobody will remember me with 1 major and 12 PGA Tour wins. I disagree, Jason. You already potentially are a Hall of Famer in golf. Not many have been on a journey you have. It's going to be even harder now, and he's even had his 3rd child, but it only takes 4 rounds of good golf, and Jason definitely has that again. As for a major, he's 33, very young in golfing terms. If he looks after that back and picks his competitions correctly, he'll definitely win another major.